I'm Leigh-Anne Price with Highlands Residential Mortgage, and this is my first episode of Money Matters. Today I have Janine Pruitt, who is a real estate broker, and I have to disclose she is actually one of my dearest friends. And I just really wanted to kick this off with of course, the topic of real estate and mortgage because I love it, and we can talk it morning, noon, and night. But we also talk a lot in our personal time about the subject, but there's other things that make us tick. And some people think you can't mix business and pleasure, and I am firmly against that. I think that the more you know someone, you become friends with them and you do business with them, and you can mix it, but you still love each other at the end of the day to be able to say, hey, we got to talk firmly, and here's this, or hey, let's talk about some of our past. And so I wanted to get kind of down to the substance of our grit and how much fun we have doing business together and being friends and all those experiences. So we met almost 7 years ago.
Yes.
And
feels sometimes like 10. I don't know why.
Yeah, it feels like a long time.
Yeah.
And I had a phone call from one of the agents on your team. One of our mutual friends had lost a young girl, and we wanted to raise some money for her, and you put together your event.
Yeah, Jingle Jam.
So then I was told, hey, let's do a silent auction, and you and I had never met. And I showed up to one of the meetings, and because someone else invited me, and brought all these things to the silent auction. You were like, you got all this stuff.
I did.
Who are you? And my thought was, well, I love Precious Sydney, and I want to be hands and feet for that family. And then it doesn't hurt. I'm going to be in an event where there's realtors everywhere, and I'm a mortgage lender, so I mean, it all goes hand in hand. So that event brought us together, and after that, we just kind of started talking, and within a couple months, we were doing business together and having glasses of wine.
It was good. But, most of us professional women, I think we find our friends in our circle of success, and I think that's where we found each other. Mm-hmm. And then we later found we had all these bonds that
Which
we would have
crazy.
Never known about if we hadn't have found each other in that professional success.
Yeah, we were, and that after that event, which, I mean, how many people showed up there?
Hundreds. Jingle Jam actually got so big we had to, you'd have to quit your real estate job to actually take it to the next level, because we raised, $35,000 our last season for the charity. So
Yeah, I love being able to do that too. You put your head together and you want to do something for the community, and that's what we did. And so over multiple real estate transactions and personal investment transactions, we got to know each other inside and out, because I got to pick on you guys with your credit and finances, and then we had real estate going on, and then we had Jingle Jam going on, and then in the background we kind of started hanging out outside of work, and it naturally came together. And I remember that when you called me and asked me if I would do Perry's investment loan, I had just been back in the business for less than a year. I was in mortgage in the early 2000s and got back in 2015, and I was up against all the amazing giants that are in the town that are very respectable, and I had to figure out a way to set myself apart. And you said, would you mind looking at our loan? And I was like, am I even equipped for this, And because I had so much respect, and here you were, and we did. We got down into the nitty gritty with credit and finances, which were all good.
P&Ls and
P&Ls and breaking
K1s.
and then breaking out the properties for the Schedule E. I mean, these are all things that happen during a mortgage transaction, a real estate transaction, and then after that, we went on our first trip together, and it was over. We
That
were
was fun.
buddies.
Yeah, that was fun. It's definitely work hard, play hard. I think that is something we both do. And that to me really sets the standard is we've got the standard of work, which is a very high standard. And then we have the friend standard, which is equally as high, but a complete different thing. It's not like you give me business, I'll be your friend. It's no, this is the standard if we're going to work together, and this is the standard if we're going to be friends.
Yeah.
And they're actually different standards, but equally important.
And while the lines sometimes will gray, because I mean we'll be in the middle of 2 or 3 transactions, and then I'll come over for dinner.
Yeah.
And we don't talk any business that night. But the next night I might come over for dinner, and that's all we talk about is
Yeah.
business, you
Yep.
know? And that standard, we always want to keep it high. And I mean, to dive a little bit more personal, we figured out why our grit is the way it is because we have our lives ran together so parallel at a time that we didn't even know each other.
Strange. But yes.
In 2013, not 2015, in 2013, I suffered the loss of my husband, my children's father, to suicide in June. And in July,
2013, yeah, William passed away. It was a hard year.
It was.
You were having a hard year, and I was having a hard year, and we didn't even know each other then.
No.
Losing the love of our lives.
Yeah.
You know?
And then flash forward to 2015, you get married on August 8th,
Yeah.
2015, and I get married on August 8th, 2015.
That's right.
And then we met in the December, November, December timeframe.
Yeah, we shared anniversary. That was hilarious.
Just so ironic. And while some of that is behind me, and we walked through that together, and as far as my divorce and all of those things, but the friendship standard just remained. It was like we've been friends forever, and it's just such an interesting thing to be able to do business and pleasure and still not kill each other.
Well, and when you're talking about like losing the love of your life for different reasons, you know, my William passed away for a complete different reason, but that kind of loss, you don't really find people that can really relate to that.
Yeah.
You know, a long marriage, we both had 2 children, we both have a boy and a girl, and we both loved them dearly. And there was a hole left in our family. You can't share that with everybody. And then the excitement, enthusiasm to start again. And then same year, same day. Gosh, that was something we could share together.
Yeah.
And then all those messy complications of what life looks like, striving to be the best, striving to be numbers, you know, top producers in our craft, but yet striving to be amazing friends, striving to be amazing wives, amazing mom, grandmom.
Grandmom raising children.
Yes.
I mean, all the things that I mean, we're going to land with our feet down.
Yeah, I think one of the things that gives us a good bond too is, and I'm going to use a bad word not to be polarizing, but I mean, literally our ass is on the line every day. As a wife, as a mom, as a friend, as a professional, it's like everything counts. Every single thing counts, and everything doesn't work out every day. But I think working and talking to you, we just know when we talk, we never even have to say it.
Yeah.
You know, showing up at the school function, that matters. Doing our best at work, that matters. You know, being there for each other if we need to borrow a dress or something, or we have an event, that matters. So,
well, and back to raising kids. I mean, you clearly have 2 adult children, and you were married, but you were somewhat of a single mom because of your situation. And I was a single mom from 2013 forward. Although I had a small season where I was married, I was still a single mom.
yeah.
And now you're raising kids, and I'm exiting the raising kids.
Yes.
But we kind of are still running in similar things because, you know, I mean, just like it's not cool to have glasses that are sunglasses that fade, and we talk about, because we're out of those, we're we
Transitions.
don't know what
Transition shades.
we don't know what's cool and what's not, because or what
Yeah.
we bounce off of each other.
Yeah.
I mean, just a couple weekends ago, the basketball shirt,
gosh.
you can't wear a basketball shirt without a
Yeah.
undershirt, and it's like, so we really bounce we have such a fun time raising kids. And I mean, my college kid, that there's things that
Yeah.
we just had a little bit different.
All the mess ups, like
Yeah.
there they were on the basketball court with the sleeveless jersey, no t-shirt. I didn't know.
Well, back in the day, that's what you wore. So who would know?
Oh my God.
And for me, who would know what not to let a kid do when they're driving? And you've already been through that. So you've been able to help me not be so naive, because, all of our babies, none of them will lie to us.
Oh, never.
And so, or twist or not tell or leave something out. And so you help
omission.
me.
It's omission.
Omission. So you help me with that. And now, ironically, we're both planning our daughter's weddings.
Yes.
Our only daughter's weddings.
Yes, yes.
Amber's engaged. Trinity just got engaged. So, I mean, it's just, I call it God.
It's this parallel that just seems to always be happening. Grandkids coming within reasonable, similar times. And
yeah, I have 3.
Uh-huh.
You have
5, 6, one coming.
Yep, you have
Number
one
6.
coming this weekend.
Yes.
It's so exciting.
Me too.
It's just such a reward. I jokingly tell people my grandbabies are the reward for not killing my own, but my own didn't make it that hard on me. But it is a heritage and a legacy that we believe in spiritually. So anyways, it's really fun doing life together and also being able to do business. And there are days that things are hard in your world, and I can kick in and give some creativity as a lender in the real estate world. And I love that we sit and talk about ideas to get creative. And I'd love to talk about a few of those scenarios that,
definitely.
that we've had. I mean, Perry and Janine are investors in their own world. And so not only does Janine play the broker and the real estate agent, she lives the investment life. She lives the life that talks about, hey, build your fortune in real estate. And Perry, Janine's husband, who is salt of the earth, he is just so great. And he was doing it long before you came along, but now y'all have come together and we've done some real estate investments for you guys. But now we're going to shift gears, and we have some loans that are traditional to everything as far as conventional, 20% down, good credit, all that. And we've done that.
Yeah. And we're going to do more.
But now
we're going to do a lot more.
We want to get a little bit different in the creative portfolio of lending, and we're going to do some DSCR loans, which debt service coverage ratio. And what's really cool about those loans is we can take the total income that comes from the property and create income instead of using tax returns, instead of using bank statements, instead of using W-2s or 1099s. And we only use a credit report and the rental agreement for the home. And that's what you guys are going to do with it.
Yeah, I think it's really important, for all of us as investors and professionals, is start out with a clear plan. We know exactly what we want to earn, and we know where we're headed financially. And then you start putting the pieces together. And you're right, it doesn't start by house hunting. It starts with, I think, knowing your family plan, having that summit meeting, once a year, knowing where do we want, how much income do we want coming in, monthly, annually, on 10 years, 20 years, and then retirement, for us, we're at that age. And then having that plan, it's like, okay, what kind of house does that look like? What's going to generate that income? And then go find the house. But even before we do that, then I call you and I'm like, okay, what is this going to look like financially? What does our down payment look like? How do we do this? What does our business need to look like? And you're like, okay, well, here's what we're going to do. And now we're at the stage we're ready to pull the trigger. We're ready to go buy more houses.
And one of the things that I really love, not just with you, but I've had the opportunity and the honor to do loans for a lot of realtors. And the thing that I love as a lender in doing that is you guys get to see firsthand the experience with me and with my production partner and my company, how we do business. And so you get to be confident in what service your clients are going to get whenever you do have a client that you can send my way. And I love being able to have that opportunity because you know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
And then you know exactly how to level with me if they're getting scared or if they don't understand their numbers. And now we've worked so many transactions together that we have friendships that have come out of it.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Together. We have, I don't like transactional kind of business. That's not who I am. I'm a relational girl. I'm a networking girl. I want relationships that continue on, not just transactions. And that's what we've been able to build in a lot of the things that we've done together. We've built relationships that are not just transactional, and I love that.
Yeah, I think that's probably the thing, right? Relational. I think that's probably the thing that puts us together. And, I like, we start out A, now we know Z. We have the steps in the middle, but there's some unforeseen waters we're going to go through. And working to know temperament. When we get in the middle of a transaction and something happens, because something always happens. It's not if it's going to happen, it's when is it going to happen. And because you're dealing with people's lives. And even if you're fine with your credit and your money, you're going to buy a house and then they're either going through a divorce or they have sick children or the work move doesn't go smoothly. Either way, it's stuff. Working through the stuff, we got to count on each other's temperament to keep cool heads prevail, keep everybody focused. And I think that's what makes a winning team.
Yes. Yeah, we know that in the long run, we're on the same team.
That's right.
We're not, I'm not trying to be a realtor. I don't want to be a realtor. And if I did, I would have gotten a license to be a realtor. And you don't want to be a lender.
No.
So we respectfully stay in each other's lane, but in the middle of, we stay in our own lane for each other. But in the middle of that, when things are going crazy and we go, okay, we call each other. Hey, so-and-so's worried or, whatever. And we're able to keep them calm because we know each other well enough to know trigger points, frustrating points.
Yes.
And I like to, you're so strong at managing expectations and keeping people like this, and I like to talk it out, and I'm a communicator. So in the beginning, if I know we're struggling with funds to close, we know this up front. It's so important for you to do your job because ironically, they don't call me about the money. They call you, and I'm the money girl.
I know. And sometimes the opposite. They may have concerns about the way the negotiations are going, that maybe they're not as favorable as they would like, or maybe they feel like that things are just one party's playing hardball. That happens sometimes, and they may tell you that. And you're like, well, they felt like this, Okay.
Yeah. So what if you could think of a scenario that we've been in, or even not me as a lender, but because there have been times that you've called me to save transactions or to give ideas that the other lender could do. Well, can you think of one that off the top of your head?
Are we doing like something we saved or a challenge?
Yeah,
or
like a pitfall that happened because of lending.
A pitfall that happened. Well, I think one thing I remember, we had this case with the guy I'm going to look right at the camera. How many children was he paying child support on, Leigh-Anne?
I think 8.
Yes.
And
that was a stressor. It's like
that one, and it wasn't just about how many kids he had.
No, not at all.
There were multiple child support orders, and if I remember correctly, there were 6. And this guy was like besties with the attorney general, so he could change these orders like that. And we come down to the week or so before closing, and all of a sudden numbers weren't adding up and looking right. And that man, he was a miracle worker. I'm telling you, he was able to talk two baby mamas into signing away their child support. Because the debt to income rate, I mean, it was just the most, and we had it all factored in. We had all the kids accounted for, how many ducklings in the row. We had it all, but then the numbers weren't right. So
Yes.
he talked those women into signing away their child support, and we got a revised child support order with no child support. I forgot about that one.
I know. That's the one that always stands out because it's the unicorn.
Yeah. And, on the subject of child support, it's such a hard subject because you can definitely see where men are very proud of taking care of their kids. And then you can see a scenario where they're getting hit so hard,
Yeah,
and they're
they
doing
are.
everything they can to take care of their family and take care of their new family and then take care of their old family. And sometimes the orders don't come in. Sometimes they don't look right. And then you've got others that are best friends with the attorney general and can get anything done
Yes,
they
yes,
want.
yeah.
And then you have women who are receiving child support, and you can't even count that income until they've had it for 6 months. Or the man may only have 6 months left to pay. Well, you can't omit it. You can't omit that income until it's gone. So it's just such a moving target. Child support is such a moving target in the lending world.
Yeah, I think so too. And just such a personal conversation. It's so delicate, but really on eggshells, really,
Yes.
because there's a story, there's pain, it's just complex.
Yeah, and as a lender, we can't, because of discrimination and because of various laws, we can't go, oh, you have a child, do you get child support? Or you have a child, do you pay child support? Because we can't ask those kinds of questions, but we definitely will know. It's going to show up on a pay stub. It's going to show up on a credit report, unless they give up that information in some of those questions. At the very end, we can say, are you obligated to pay? But we can't just assume they receive it either. So,
That one was that, and we
that
got it
was a big one.
closed. But
We got it closed.
that was a, and I think the other thing is just so it's the stuff that you find out. When we meet them, we're talking about buyers right this moment. They're so, in most cases, idealistic. They're so excited. They've watched HGTV. Now they're ready to go house hunting, and it's just real simple. Everything happens, within 3 minutes, and then a commercial. 3 minutes, and then a commercial. But it really doesn't. They meet me, then we find out what their needs and wants are. Then they meet you. We find out what their criteria and guidelines are. And then there's the uncovering all the stuff.
And
And that's the stuff.
They always want you to think they're perfect.
Oh, yeah. They want the realtor to think, oh, I don't have any.
Yeah.
I don't have any.
I'm the bad guy because I uncover it all. And then you have to think they're perfect. But
That's why I think student loans, co-signing. Co-signing is a big thing.
Yeah.
They often forget, oh, I co-signed for my cousin to have a car 3 years ago. Well, that's debt.
Yeah, it's debt, and on co-signing, if you can prove that the other person has made 12 payments out of their bank account, not 12 3 years ago and now they pay you cash. It has to be 12 payments out of their account. We can omit that debt, but just like me, if I co-signed on somebody, I would want them to pay me. That way I know that payment is getting made. I mean, it's to protect yourself, right? But the challenge is somewhere down the road, it kind of bites you in the butt.
Yeah, you've got to record that. Yeah,
Yeah,
that seems to be an issue too, and we just never think of it. This would be like a good PSA.
Yeah.
If you're co-signing for someone or you have co-signed for someone, be sure the payments are made in a documented way.
Yes, please. Yes. Bank account.
Yes.
Not money orders.
Oh, cash. No.
No
Cash
cash.
is not king.
Money
Cash
orders
not
is
king.
considered cash. Cash is considered cash. It is not king in the mortgage girl's world.
No.
So
it's not.
money matters.
That
See?
money matters, yeah.
So do you have any other thoughts on transactions that have happened?
Gosh, I feel like there's been hundreds, right? Hundreds we could probably talk about. I'm just trying to think what's popping into my head right now. I think the personal side, just there's this funny thing, and it's really not funny, but it's like it says buyers are liars. Buyers are not liars. What the saying is, the way you begin something is typically not the way it ends.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is our challenge. I don't know how many times they're like, Janine, I want a 4 bedroom, 2.5 bath, something, something, this part of town. And then they end up buying 3 bedroom, 2 baths. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, well, that isn't what we started looking for. So I think just you're very easy to navigate those challenges
Mm-hmm.
with. And at the end of the day, it's about them. And I
Yeah.
think that's really something that is paramount for you and
Mm-hmm.
me is it's not about us. And I personally don't like it when a real estate agent puts their big old butt in the middle of the transaction like they're a principal to the contract because I'm not a principal. If the buyer's comfortable with it and the seller's comfortable with it and you as the lender say that it can happen, my job is just to listen and facilitate.
When I find out, a lot of times my clients will give me an address. I'll get them pre-qualified. They're ready to go. Now it's time to shop and do the fun stuff. And I'll tell them narrow it down to 2 or 3 and let's run some worksheets because one property, well, I have right now a client shopping. He's qualified up to $340,000. Well, this house that he found that he loves, the property taxes are $650. What throws his debt to income ratio way off, and I'm like, you can't buy that house. Well, why can't I buy that house? Well, here's the reason why. But we narrow it down to these, and so what I try to do is once they really have figured out what they're going to do and we go through numbers, I go look at the pictures on the property. And because I want to be invested with them, I want to care, and I'll find something with the property that is just really cool and tell them that's a great house or that backyard is amazing. I looked at it because they care that you care, but I don't think they care. I'm not the one that's going to step in and go, well, you need to do this. I'm really more of one that's just going to cheer you on if this is what you love. I love, love, love hot pink, but you don't love hot pink.
I only like 2 shades. There's
So
only 2 shades of pink that I enjoy.
the same thing
Yeah.
with houses, you
But
know?
I want to wear black every day. And
Yeah.
you don't want to wear black every day.
No, black doesn't make me happy. But, same thing with houses. I'm not going to call your house ugly. It's what you love and I'm going to love it cuz you love it. I just want to make sure that you don't end up in a financial bind because of it. So, those are just kind of some personal things to step in to be able to help our people, and they want to know that you love what they love and get your opinion on it, but I'm not going to give a whole lot of opinions on the house itself, especially from pictures.
Yeah, it does get dicey when we're not in our lane.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important whether we're in insurance, financing, real estate as a real estate agent. It's have knowledge of other people's lane, but stay in our lane because for me, I don't want to get out of my lane because then I'm liable. So I'm not going to risk my career and be liable for something that I'm not an expert in. That wouldn't be wise.
I'm so glad you said that because it makes me think about an incident last year where I had the client pre-qualified. He was excited to shop. He went around to some open houses and he visited with an agent and she told him interest rates have dropped. They're down in the sixes. You really need to shop your rate. And I sent the guy shopping and yes, by all means, shop. I mean, make sure that I am not just, bending you over, but at the same time, what isn't being disclosed on that rate that the non-lender is talking about is those rates that are shiny and flashy online come at a cost, typically an origination cost and or what's called a discount point. So they're paying points for this rate. They possibly are paying origination or both. And what they don't know when they see that rate is that. So the frustrating part for me was that a realtor just went to a online resource and said this was the rate, and it really caused some confusion for the buyer. We had to completely undo that mentality, which took some more work. That's okay. I'm not afraid of extra work, but I'm not going to tell you how a house isn't worth what you just offered for it.
Well, in that scenario, we often find new agent syndrome. You know, I love new agents. We have
Yeah.
to have new. We need new pilots, new construction workers, new lenders. It's great. But typically, the newer someone is, the more they must have an answer. And sometimes it's not the best answer, you know, but that nervousness. I remember when I first started, if you asked me a question and I didn't know, I felt inferior. I had butterflies, and I felt like I just wanted to give you something. Here's the answer. And now I know, no, if it's not the right answer, I'm going to say, I don't really know, but let me look into that. And that in that instance, I think we see all the time with the newer agents, they want to be overly helpful, and they didn't realize that rates are buyer specific. What is your
Yeah.
credit score? What is your payment history? How much are you putting down? There's just a lot of complications that I'm not privy to.
Yeah.
So I'm not ever going to say, oh, you could get, you could get this rate. 'Cause I'm like, I haven't seen his credit report or their credit report. So
Yeah. Well, and I try, where interest rates are concerned, because it is all the topic. I'm not going to spend your money without your permission. So once we decide to lock an interest rate, you're going to understand that rate. Your nephew,
yes.
we're in the middle of doing something with him, and he was so precious. I was talking to him, and he was like, well, I have all this extra money. I want you to tell me, because he wanted a difference between putting an extra 20,000 down, and I said, well, here's the difference. That 20,000 is spread out over 30 years. Add a little bit of interest, you're looking at somewhere between 55 and 65 or $70 a month difference in monthly payment, right? Well, what if I take that $20,000 and I buy down my rate? Well, let's talk about that. The max you can spend to buy down that rate by guideline is $8,460. He was like, okay. And I
Is that
said,
based on sales price?
it's loan amount.
Loan amount.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So I said, if the rates, so your rate's going to be somewhere around 6.5. Once this is all said and done, he says, okay. If the rates drop in the next 6 to 18 months into the high fours or the mid fives, a point or more difference, will you refinance to that rate? Well, that's a no-brainer. Most
Yeah.
people say yes. Anytime you can drop your payment, right? Well, if the cost of the refinance, because I waive my returning clients' lender fees, if the cost of the refinance really just looks like another title policy, don't buy down the rate. Pay $2,000 for the title policy. But what if I let you buy down that rate at $8,460, knowing the rates are probably going to come down a little bit more, and then you buy it down in 6 to 12 months, you call me and tell me the rates have dropped. Leigh-Anne, will you refinance me? Yeah, of course I'm going to refinance you. But now I've taken your 8460, you're never going to see it again, and you're going to be out the cost of the title policy. You're out $10,000, $11,000, $12,000 on a net number, right? Well, he just loved that explanation, because you think you're buying this rate down, you're going to have this great advantage, and you're not. Just take the rate, and then let's refinance you down the road and keep your money in your pocket.
Well, again, that goes back to it's not about us, right? I mean, that's the thing. The challenge is that's not our decision to make. It's the client's.
Yep.
And what they're willing to pay for a house, how they want to buy the house, that's up to them. And our job is to just lay out those options and let them see what that looks like, and let them make the best choice for their family and their level of risk that they're comfortable with. And that's what you did. And I think that's one of the reasons I like you didn't say, this is what you should do.
Yeah.
That's what I kind of call the big butt that's getting in the middle of the transaction.
Yeah.
It's not about us. We don't make decisions on other people's behalf. We just give them
Yeah.
educated opportunities for them to decide.
Well, and there's an angle of it that goes, you're just setting up for a refi. I may not even get the refi. I'm okay not getting it if someone else has a better deal, but the cost of interest rates are so expensive right now. And where we are failing as lenders is education. We are not educating people regularly. We're not educating our agents. We're not educating our brokers. We're not educating our clients. I am trying to educate everybody on what this looks like. When I get a phone call and they say, hey, the Fed's just dropped the rates by a point, that doesn't mean that the interest rate just went from 7.5 to 6.5. That means that the rate probably came down, a quarter to a half of a point. And then the cost of the rate has probably come down a quarter to a half a point. So it's a combination of discount points and interest rates. And those are the things that people are not taking the time to explain. And I am passionate about making sure people know what those options are. They know how to understand it. And 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2 in the interest rate mortgage financing world. You know what I mean? And so that's what I'm really passionate about, is getting some education out there for our people.
Yeah, I think it's important. And just it's so complicated. Our job is to simplify the complicated, but the simplification should not fall short of an explanation.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. Yeah, and I like the explanation. I like being able, if I don't understand it, I'll tell you I don't understand it, and I'll go find out how to understand it. You know, and then I love creativity. If we can't do a loan a certain way, or someone says we can't do a loan, why can't we?
Yeah, why can't we? Maybe
What
we can.
can we do?
Maybe we can.
So we have an instance right now that I find to be so interesting. You conventional loan, in the past, you can use rental income from the departing residents. So I want to keep my home as a rental, and it's going to be my first investment, which is a great strategy. If you want to become an investor, buy a home, live in it for a few years. You can take advantages of the lower down payments and all of that, and then grow into your next home. Yeah. Make that your first investment. That is a strategy when you don't have 15 or 20% down, right? Well, as of January 1st, Fannie and Freddie have changed the guidelines. So now we can't just use the rent from a lease agreement on a departing residence. We need the rental, for the debt to income ratio. So with this one scenario, he doesn't have a mortgage payment. You can offset the mortgage payment with the rental agreement, but you cannot use the rental agreement unless you've had it for a seasoned amount of time, right? Well, my guy, he doesn't have a mortgage payment. He paid his house off in 5 years. And so he wants to go buy this other house. We can't use the rent because there's nothing really to offset. And
he's wanting to use the rent as income to qualify for the next home.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Correct. Found his dream home. The wife is so excited. Well, January 1st, these guidelines have changed. So I'm kind of like, what do I do, Well, we set him up on a cash out refi for the one that's paid off, and he's putting a big chunk down towards the new one. Interest rates were 1/8 of a point away from each other on that, and he gets to take the tax advantages on the rental for the interest and the things he's going to pay. He still gets to buy the dream home, have a very low loan to value between the two of them, and we got creative. And no, it's not ideal when you have a house that is paid off. You don't want to pay interest on it, but we had to get creative in order for him to go this route, and it worked.
Yeah, that's probably, like, while we're talking through this scenario, one of my many pet peeves, because I have them. But one of them is when you actually aren't walking the walk, but you're talking the talk. And so money sitting in the bank you lose value. Mm-hmm. Money sitting loses value. Mm-hmm. There's this thing called inflation, which causes our dollar to be worth less when it's just sitting. So how do we have our money remain stable or appreciate or grow? And therein, with this situation, yes, there is a higher level of risk, but the tenant is going to pay that back. Mm-hmm. It's not going to necessarily, in the best case scenario, come out of his pocket, right? I mean, it could happen if the tenant vacates or something, but you got to be prepared for that. But it's like taking that money that's just sitting there in a house that's appreciating, let's just say ballpark at 4 to 5% a year. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? He's going to now make some money on that. He'll still have his investment, moving it over. I mean, it's a way.
Yeah.
But you have to be savvy. So that goes back to walking the walk. You've got to be talking to people that know how to walk the walk. You know, if you have never done that, pulled money out of a property, invested it in another property, be able to explain that, you know, give them a general idea to ask the right questions to their CPA, ask the right questions to their insurance person about
Right.
having rental properties. You know, it's just really important because the average lender that's just starting out and the average realtor just starting out wouldn't even know to do that.
Well, you would just see a
Oh, darn.
59%
Oh, darn, we
debt to
can't
income
buy.
ratio. You can't do it. Dang it. You can only buy $200,000
Yeah.
when you don't. We can get, because now that we have a mortgage on this property, now we can offset that payment here on the refi, and we can offset that payment here on the
Yep.
purchase
Yep.
because we have a payment.
You know, sitting on a gold mine. That's what you just said.
Yeah.
He was sitting on a gold mine, which will be a video we're going to make about sitting on a gold mine, hopefully.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
With a leprechaun and
Yeah,
a
we're
rainbow.
going to do that. Yeah.
We get to do some really cool stuff. So those are some cool scenarios. But I got to play Cupid.
Yes, I had this idea because you know what? I love the song. That
Yeah.
song, Cupid.
Cupid, draw back your bow.
Yeah. And so, yeah, you're a cute Cupid too.
Oh,
And
well,
I got
thank
to
you.
be the matchmaker.
Yeah. And that I come from a family that loves the stage and loves the spotlight.
No.
And then I have
Me.
my best friend who is very comfortable with the stage and the microphone and the spotlight. And then there's me. And I'm just like, I don't like that. I was in the choir, you know, I'll be with a group, I'll blend in, but don't put me on a microphone. And so this is even a big stretch for me. So then you have your friend, we have to fight to stay relevant because there's all kinds of young,
Yeah.
nifty loan officers, and there's all kinds of young, nifty
Oh, yeah.
realtors,
Oh, yeah.
and video, and all of that is the thing, and we're having to figure out how to stay relevant. So one of those things was to be the matchmaker and Cupid.
I know. But, you know, 23 plus years now, I mean, you have to have fun. You know, I question if I would have the ability to do such a good job if we weren't having joy and fun in our craft.
Yeah.
It's like we have to have fun. I just want to have fun doing it. And I know
Yeah.
you want to have fun doing it.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, let's just go be crazy and just
Well,
have it. Not like cuckoo crazy.
No.
But it was just, you know, it's a cute song and it gets the point across that.
Yeah.
And I think loving your home that you're going to buy, being excited about your family, creating new memories, it is all about love.
It is, well, and
Yeah.
dreams coming true and
Yes,
matchmaking
yes.
and
All
all
of
the
it,
things.
all the things.
I was watching some of your videos last week, and so my background before and in the middle, between my first mortgage career, my second and current mortgage career, my background is in media marketing. So I worked for the Midland Reporter Telegram. I worked for KTEX, which was the Graham Brothers radio station, and then I landed my media career at Fox Television with Laura Wolf.
I
And
love her.
we used to shoot commercials and sell, and boy, we could sell some advertising. And we kind of have gone through this thing in the last 15 years that now we have DVRs, so people fast forward through commercials, and we have, you know, Sirius XM, so radio remotes aren't such a thing, and I used to sell it. Well, I've thought about the loss of that because it's a background. And then I was watching your videos last week. They're coming back. Commercial, you like your house you have listed on Wedgwood,
Yes.
or your house over on Story with the Wizard of Oz. That's like a little commercial.
I know.
And
I'm doing that on purpose.
You,
Yeah.
as a realtor, you never had that before. You had paper, internet, email, newspaper.
Yeah, never had it.
And now, because of the relevancy of social media and online stuff like YouTube and different things, now we're back to making commercials again, and video is a thing,
It is.
and photography.
Well, and you know, I was reading Elon Musk's autobiography, so authorized a good book. But the thing is, we have to be learning in any given year. What is it? 10 new skill sets a year. To stay relevant in our craft, we have to learn 10 new skill sets. So, I mean, the stakes are high. Like, get off your butt, go do
There.
something different. And, the one thing we have a lot of fun with is I'm so great at failing. I mean,
Yeah.
I will try crazy stuff, dumb stuff, and it doesn't all work.
Yeah.
It may not work. I told her when we bought the picnic table, when we brought the rooster and the hen to the house, and I had the best time in my life. But I mean, maybe that's. But we actually did get the house under contract today, and they said that the picnic table and the chickens was like so endearing. The idea of being able to have sustainable lives in city limits.
You put that house under contract today?
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's
I was
very exciting.
But it was so rare that you could have a chicken coop. I love chicken coop. So you have chicken coop in town and raised beds and the playhouse, it has that cute sign say kids only. And I could just see all the memories being made there. And just, you just get all tied up in it, and then it's fun.
But it's painting that visual that will help someone else see that that's their next forever home. And taking risks, you talked about that. One of my mentors was Julie Kent, and previously Julie Bixler. She was Julie Bixler whenever she was my mentor, and she told me, I don't care what you do, take risks. I would much rather be mad at you for taking a risk than be mad at you for dropping a ball, for not doing something, for not take the risk, because the risk is so much more rewarding. And you may fail 9 out of 10 times, but you're going to get up and you're going to keep taking risks to a point where you're not failing 9 out of 10 times. And so you're taking risks on your videos.
Yeah, and the people love it, the sellers. Like, the little house on Shandon, $250,000. It definitely needs a lot of renovation. And then we did that funny video there. The homeowner loved it. I mean, there she is on her oxygen, and she's just so tickled that I'm over there playing in her front yard. I mean, it was like, but I was having fun, and then on Wedgwood, the homeowner, when we started talking about my vision for that one, she said, can we do s'mores there's a fire pit in the backyard. Can we do s'mores?
Oh, and you did that.
And we did that. I brought the grandbabies over. Right. And then, so I was excited about the chickens and the picnic table. But I guess what I'm saying is that working with a group of people that are passionate about that, they loved being part of it. The Wizard of Oz. With Melody. If Melody was here, she'd tell you. But she loved it. It's just telling that story. What do you say about quirky. A small house close to downtown that's not perfect?
Yeah. And it's a quirky house. And Melody's quirky. And I would love that too. But you did something for her that was specific and set her apart from what else is listed on the market. The same thing with the chickens, and the same thing with the house on Shannon. You are
and the airplane hangar house.
Yes. Yeah. I recently was a seller, and I think every seller, and if you tell me you're not this seller, then I'm going to tell you you're lying. I think every seller has this thought in the back of their mind because they're proud of their home. You're scared of what I'm about to say.
Yeah, I'm scared. What you going to tell me?
I think every seller has this dream in the back of their mind that their house hits the market, and I mean buyers are lined up and it's going to go multi-offer, and because you're proud of your home, you know. But then there's you're the reality. Norma has helped me stay in reality when I was selling my home. The reality is that isn't the case always in the market, and so in order to get that, we hire you guys as agents and brokers to bring that reality to us and to make sure our house gets sold. And sometimes that creativity is what does that. So is the Wizard of Oz house, it's being shown?
It's being shown, yeah. I mean, it's a work in progress. Right now what we're doing is beta testing. Or that R&D, research and development, on my crazy ideas. But you know what? I'm going to have a lot of fun. That was my commitment this year. I told you that.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have as much fun as I can possibly have because I just want to have joy in the process.
And that's one of the things we also do when we're sitting together. We'll have a glass of wine and the fireplace is going, and we'll end up leaving that session with each other without the intention with 10 action items. Hey, here's an idea, and here's an idea, and you should do this, or look at this in another market. And I love those sessions that we have together because they've really panned out very well.
Like last year, I made a leadership decision and it was either a good one or bad one. But, it's like, hey, you could learn from this. Here's, looking back, it's just really nice to have somebody that will share those things. And I think that's why your podcast, my podcast, it's just telling it all.
Yeah.
The one thing that wears me out about social media is why do we feel like we have to package everything so perfect?
Yeah, rose-colored lenses.
Yeah, why don't we just package it? I'm not saying, be negative, but can we just talk about how, man, that was hard? Or I'm not sure if that was a good decision, but at the time it was the best I could make. And I guess we're just going to have a lot of faith moving forward and just know the good Lord, is going to help us.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you brought that up because as we talk about doing business and personal together, there's an assumption that people make, and it's been said to me, well, Janine does this or does that, or I'm sure she already knows, or she's told you, and I'm like, I'm getting information that you haven't told me. And there's a protective layer there sometimes for the two of us where something might have happened. You had your event happen this last year, and you didn't tell me. I found out through the grapevine that it had happened. And I think everybody thinks, just because we spend so much time together and we have so much fun together that every time the wind changes direction, we're on the phone with each other.
No, not at all.
But
quite the opposite.
That didn't happen, and I found out about the scenario that happened, and I gave it some time because I knew that you were going to be very raw and called to check on you. And those are the times that I enjoy just being friend.
Yeah.
Because no matter what I say, there's pain.
Definitely.
Professionally, personally, and business will come and go, but our lives matter, and I want to be there to love on you when you're in. I don't want you to ever go through pain, but we're going to go through pain.
Yeah, and the same thing, watching, sometimes you're just the steady, you just stay the course and you're just the steady. There's times when you've gone through things and my job is you don't need another opinion. You don't need extra insight. You just need steady.
Yeah.
And that's nice to have. You really, you can't put a price on steady. And no, we don't. I actually think we can't tell each other a lot of things because people assume that we do. Our reactions have to be organic. So I think there's a lot of times that we probably don't say things to each other.
Yeah.
So that if I'm in this situation or you're in your situation and it comes out, because we know it is going to come out, it would be a canned response. So it's like, I actually think you tell each other less.
Yeah.
Because it would hurt your career, it would hurt your reputation, or it could damage my career or my reputation. And who the heck wants to work with a big gossipy blabbermouth anyway?
Yeah, and I don't want to be that girl. And I've told you.
I mean, we all do. You can't say you don't gossip, but your reputation in the industry is critical.
Yeah.
Mine is critical. And you work with a lot of people that I may not work with, but they're still good. They're still good people. They're still good professionals. And
there's so many layers to that. In my personal beliefs, I don't want to be a part of tearing someone down.
No.
I don't want to deliver bad news. Number one, if it is a part of hurting you, if it's a part of hurting her, hurting them, I don't care who it is. If someone says your hair looked terrible, I'm not going to be a part of sharing how terrible your hair looked. I don't want to do that. That's just a goofy explanation, but I don't want to relay what someone else is saying that's negative. But on the opposite side, I don't want someone to feel comfortable using my ear to talk bad about people that are close to me. I don't care if it's you. I don't care who it is. Yes, I'll hear the gossip because that's what happens. People
tell stories.
Talk and tell stories. But I just don't want to be the dumping ground for that because then I do have a burden to carry. And then, I mean, I wear everything on my face. So
Yes.
you'll know if I already knew or didn't know, because
You do.
then I'll be like, and I'm not a very good actress anyways. Like I said, I'm not that in the family. So I wear everything on my face, and I would much rather find out, and be taken aback by it than to have to carry and, hide it. I don't like that. And I know that there was a lot of pain this last year in your world and transitional. But you know what's so amazing as your friend and colleague in the industry, when I sit on the outside and I watch it, I remember January of 2023, we spent some money and we went to New York City.
Yeah, we sure did.
And we learned about changing and being relevant and the importance of where we're at in our industry. We learned about taking videos. We learned about getting out of our comfort zone. And one of the things that you talked about was a downsize at that point in time. And you didn't know what the downsize looked like because you love everybody and you're going to mentor everyone you can. And then organically, some of that happened. And so I don't label those as coincidences. I see spiritual things that happen.
I do
And
too.
I believe that God prepares us for certain things. And who would have thought that that was the preparation,
I know.
But we get to go do some cool things to prepare for our year and to make pivots and adjustments. And I didn't know that I was going to be changing companies, back.
True.
I mean, I was sold out and good, and now I'm with Highlands. I love both places. Supreme Lending is home, and I love everybody there, and I love Highlands and the leadership, and we just both really, here we go again in a parallel shift in our world. And within about 60 days of each other.
Yeah, it was crazy. And it's like, that simple little book, Cheese Moves, Who Moved My Cheese?
Mm-hmm.
Cheese moves.
Yeah.
And whether we like it or not, life moves, and you just pray and try to do your best to get through it and try to be humble enough to see where you could have done things better, and then be brave enough where you're just going to forge ahead again. Mm-hmm. And just, it's that mix of all of it.
And iron sharpens iron.
Oh, yeah.
We believe in that.
Oh, yeah.
So make sure the iron that's sharpening you is sharpening you for the good.
Yeah, for the good. I think so, too. It's been good. It's been good. I really think we've got a lot of changes coming in our industry. Mm-hmm. I feel a bit concerned right now because, as you can see the shift with the rates that happened last year, that certainly did affect every buyer in the market, and which affected every seller in the market, which affected lenders in the market, which affected insurance people in the market. So everyone was affected by, I don't even know what to call it. It was just, it gave them pause. People were more cautious, I guess, wouldn't you say, maybe?
Oh, yeah.
But, I think as things are going, I hope in my industry we get back to standards, being client-centric,
Integrity.
collaboration, integrity. I hope it's a wake-up call for us. It's more important now, I think, that we check ourselves. It's not a you need to do it. It's I need to do it. It's I need to. I'm going to check myself, make sure I'm operating that way, and find things that I can improve on. And I think the same thing in your industry. So, I think there's some changes coming. I can see there's new brokerages. Even today, a new brokerage opened up today. So there's opportunities. There's a lot of movement in where agents are working. There's movement where lenders are lending and choosing to hang their hat. But I think at the end of the day, we need to realize we are in Midland. It is a small world, and let's keep that in mind as we're being so ambitious.
Oh, yeah. And I find great value in seeing who plays in the sandbox together.
Yeah.
There's value in that. I believe there's enough business for everybody to be successful without beating each other down, whether directly or indirectly. I believe one of my very closest friends is a competitor of mine. And we can all play together. And our industry and our market needs us to play together. They need us to have integrity. They need us to hold each other accountable. They need to see that we are willing to meet them face to face, run into them in the grocery store with no makeup on, and
Yeah.
still talk to them and hug their babies and help them with any resource. But they're not going to feel that if we're constantly in the grind against each other, if we're constantly nitpicking. And I find great value. I agree. We need to find character. We need to find integrity again. We need to find the things that we were raised on. There's a little bit of a loss of that. And I just was talking to Norma Pine about that this weekend. We had a long conversation. We got to get back to the basics.
Well, and just going back to the Bible, my people perish for lack of vision, lack of knowledge. We have to have the vision. Like, what do we want our careers to look like? And are we going to make that every day? No, because we're humans. There's only one perfect person that walked the planet, as Perry always tells me, and we're not him. But at the same time, we're creating a vision for consumers, a vision for our own careers, our vision for our own retirement, and keeping that as a goal certainly helps us do better, try harder, do better, be better.
Yeah. Well, I love doing business with you, and I love our friendship, and I love the friendships that come out of our friendship and our business, and the creativity, and I'm just amazed at the things that we've done together, and hopeful for the things that we're going to continue to do in this industry and in our friendship.
And I hope we, just by letting people have like a sneak peek, there's so many great lenders. There's so many great real estate agents in our town. Like, this is the time, like, come out, come talk, let the people get to know you. It's never been our goal, or not my goal, like, oh, just listen to me and don't listen to anyone else. No, even I made a video, I don't even know if you heard it, last Saturday or something. I was at the basketball game in the parking lot, and I was like, if you're that agent that has a heart for your community and is dedicated to quality control and doing a great job, come out, start telling your people. And if you're a lender, because there's so many good lenders, come out, come play with us.
Yeah, get out and talk, tell your story.
Yeah, tell your story.
I love people that have stories. Yes, there's value in people who it just has been simple, but everyone loves a comeback story.
Yes.
And everyone loves grit and where you get it from. And I'm a gritty girl. You may not think it because I like to wear pink and put on makeup and do my hair, but I got some grit behind my grind. And
yeah, it's the adversarial.
Yeah.
The challenges that have happened to me have made me who I am. That's what's given me the courage to say, you can go on and you can go on and we're going to be okay, is because we've gone through things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and sometimes even in our industry, we just talked about this, and we've had multiple conversations about it. Sometimes it's not only just about winning the deal.
Oh,
sometimes
no.
we're even
gracious losers. That's a thing.
Yeah, we can lose. And then in addition to that, on the other side, someone might want to join our team. Are they a fit? Is the culture right? I'm not a leader that wants that big boss title. That's just not who I am. I want to be in a team spirit, and for my branch, just because you have a heartbeat doesn't mean you can be a loan officer on my team. And you feel that way. You're wanting to grow your team, and it's been fun bouncing ideas on leadership.
What is next? And really just asking the greatest questions of, what do I want to do next?
Yeah.
What do I want?
Yeah.
And then go do the work.
Well, because we know, you can sell a house.
Yeah.
To a buyer or for a seller.
Yeah.
I know I can do a loan. But it's there's more.
There's more.
I want more, and I want to be a good leader. Servant leader is really more our jam, and I want there to be good loan officers out there. We fight so hard against the online lenders. So online lenders are really nothing but a call center. Every now and then you really get someone who will give their cell phone, but we're local to the market. Midland and Odessa is so good about being loyal to their market. So I want to grow a team.
Yeah.
I built out my office for the sake of a big team. But I don't want just anybody. It has to fit.
And, that even told me sometimes the best job you can do is doing someone else's job. And that sounds strange, but it really is. Over the weekend, I don't even think I had a chance to tell you, but I had the Shandon house, that we're actually closing tomorrow. So there was FHA repairs. The buyer agreed to do their own FHA repairs. That was a contractual agreement between the buyer and seller. And it was scraping and some ceilings. There had been a previous roof leak years ago, and my senior citizen seller had not made the repair. And so he just needed to scrape the popcorn, get that all properly patched. That was what was required. Well, Saturday morning at 8:30, the appraiser goes out-of-town lender, non-Midland County, Ector County appraiser. Just want to say that. And I get a text and said, the repairs aren't done. It looks like there's a wet spot. And so I get a hold of the agent, and I'm like, hey, I wasn't in control of that, or else I would have gone myself. And she goes over and sends a picture, and it looks, you're not going to match the paint, but it looked like it was properly repaired. And then he's like, no, it doesn't meet FHA minimum standards. And then he went into this long discussion with me about minimum standards in the text message. And he went on to say, I need to be sure that there's not a roof leak. I think the roof. And I'm like, sir, the roof was replaced 2 years ago. It's now a metal roof. She just was on oxygen and couldn't go upstairs and wasn't going to fix it. I mean, there was a lot of things in the house that just didn't improve with time. Anyway, why did I say all that? I happened to get on the phone and got my friend who's a roofing contractor out there and said, would you please go by, give me your honest opinion, and if you think the roof is in integrity and is not leaking, would you please put that in writing? Because this appraiser is trying to say, I don't want to see what I took in the photos fixed. I'm now going to start investigating what's going, and we're closing in 3 days.
Oh.
And so I just reached back out to the appraiser and said, listen, thank you for your help. I'm getting a professional roofing contractor out there. I'm going to get his professional opinion in writing, and then I'm going to send it to the lender. Because we knew that the roof wasn't leaking. We knew that the metal roof solved the old leak problem. And so, he did. He went out, thank God, on a Saturday, got me the letter on Sunday. I got it to the lender, and the appraiser really had nothing else he could say.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to make him the enemy, but it's like, wow. Yeah. What if I hadn't got the roofing contractor out there? What if that could have stalled out closing? He could have convinced everybody there was a bigger problem than there was. And here's a cool thing. If there was a problem, we would have fixed that problem.
Right.
But I just happened to know that wasn't the problem.
Yeah.
And so we solved it over a weekend, for the buyer's agent, really for the buyer's agent, but also, of course, for the seller.
Yeah.
But I was like, you got to be ready to do the work.
Yeah. Go the extra
mile. Yeah.
The lane's never crowded.
Yeah. Find the solution. No, it's never.
The lane is never crowded.
Is the path. Narrow, wide is the path. Narrow is the path. No.
Yeah.
But I was just thinking that's that kind of collaboration we're talking about, right?
Right.
And the agent was like, thank you so much for doing that. I'm like, well, goodness, my lady's counting on closing. Your client's counting on closing. This appraiser seemed to have a different mindset about how this thing was going to go.
Yeah.
And anyway, we needed help.
And when we do that, it gives the other side the ability to get creative in their future endeavors and their future transactions. And so I want people to know that the reputation, and I know you feel the same way, and you can say what you want to say about that. I want people to know, hey, call Leigh-Anne. She's the creative one.
Yeah.
If I had, of course, I don't want all the hard ones. I don't want all the creative ones. Everyone wants some easy ones every now. Easy being 800 credit score, 5,000, 500,000 in the bag.
Down.
Yeah, all that. But I do want people to know that I am creative and I will go the extra mile. And if there is a way to get that boy to the closing table, we're going to the closing table.
Well, and, I sent a little side text because, I am me. I sent the agent a little side text and I said, this is exactly why. Because the lender had done a wonderful job. The lender in New Mexico had been wonderful to work with, responsive, and all the good things. But at the end of the day, here I am with an appraiser on a Saturday morning that might jack up closing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and there's no one to talk to. She's not in town. He's not from our city. And I'm like, wow. And so I sent her that little text and said, this is exactly why I only use local lenders who, blah, 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 just FYI, because I was
Yeah.
going to make sure I said that because I'm like, look, lady,
Yeah.
this could have turned out a lot worse.
I know very few local lenders that don't give their cell phone numbers out, that don't take that closing date very personal. I tell people on a regular basis, I'm just too dumb to quit.
Hey, but you know what we're seeing now? So we're always talking about the out of town lender versus local lender. And I have good friends that are out of town lenders. So I'm not trying to poo poo the idea, but it's the same thing as last year when the market was shifting and realtors were slower. We had a good influx. I don't have the exact number for you, but a good influx of agents from out of town coming to Midland. They're not a member of our local Permian Basin Board of Realtors. Their uncle, cousin, friend, brother, sister, online lead, who knows, is now coming to Midland. They don't know our city and can't really even get in. They're trying to figure out who's going to come open the door for them. And I was like, as crazy as that sounds, you're going to buy a house in Midland, Texas. You're going to use your Dallas agent to come to Midland and work you through that and not partner with a Midland agent, which I
Right.
think would be the solution. And it's like, that just seems like, can you do it? Yeah, we do it. And it did happen. I mean, there's a percentage of closings that happened last year, but it's not the easiest way to do it. And then you want to ask yourself, whom was served? Whom was served? Was that the highest and best smooth situation for the seller? Was
And
that
the
the
buyer.
highest and best for the buyer? Probably no. So again, I'm not trying to pick on out of town lenders or out of town agents, but I'm just saying we all have to admit it does make things a bit more challenging. If you're looking for the smoothest transaction, if you're looking for the more consistent communication, choose someone that you can go visit their office.
Yeah,
Realtor or lender or insurance person, anything.
I have this conversation a lot, and I'm licensed in multi states, right? So I'm the out of town lender sometimes. But let me say this on the subject. I am licensed in states that I have a network of people, that I have another loan officer that's there working the market, like Tennessee. But I'm not actively going into those markets and trying to take business from those agents. The West Texas market is such a creative culture with real estate. We're kind of a bubble where the rest of the world and the nation is slow 6 months later than we start experiencing the slowdown, right? So my challenge as a boots on the ground local lender is realtor or lenders that are out of town that are coming into our market for open houses. I understand they're working hard. I'm not saying they're not working hard. But why are they not successful in their own backyard? And I asked one last year, "Are you successful over there in El Paso?" Because he went around a couple of your agents even on your
remember
team.
that.
He went around them and put together an open house event and went to their sellers and their builders, and there's just a code of ethics. And when they're out of town, they don't care about that code, in my personal opinion. And I've talked to several other local lenders that feel the same way. And so we went to those open houses and we made sure to have a local presence. But my question is, on the local lender front, that's okay. You can do loans, that's fine. But why are you not pursuing your own backyard? Because I'm pursuing my backyard. My priority is Midland and Odessa, West Texas. Yes, I'll do stuff in Austin. Yes, I do stuff in Dallas and Houston and some of the other. I have relationships with agents, but I'm not going to take from that local market because I'm so busy servicing you guys. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Great questions people should be asking. I tell you that all the time. If you're going to help someone buy an investment property, why don't you share with them how much you're enjoying the success of your own investing? Whether that be you enjoy the process or you're making XYZ dollars. How's that working out for you? Because I wonder how you're going to be able to guide someone to do that when you're not walking that walk.
Yeah, and I rented my house that I sold in the fall for a little while, and I just recently had someone ask me my thoughts on being an investor and managing it or hiring a managing company. There's certain things that I'm very good at, and cleaning someone else's filth is probably not one of them. So you have to talk to people about all the directions of investment, because if you don't have the stomach to clean what that kid put on that wall,
Yeah. Yeah.
but you don't have the finances to hire a management company or hire the one to go out and clean and paint it, maybe you take a little bit more time. You have to know the good, the bad, and the ugly. I decided I was not that kind of investor. I'm not a landlord investor. Could I and am I interested in property flips, or maybe even like short-term rentals like Airbnb? Absolutely. I could totally see some fun in that, or vacation rentals. I could see that happening. But this other situation,
I know. It's always so much work too.
I'm just like, I need your husband to come who has, a titanium stomach and can handle it.
Always. Oh my goodness, I know.
So.
I don't even really, he has to be first in. I'm not a first in property manager owner.
Yeah.
I'm the second in. He must go first.
Well, and
because seriously.
what the things they leave, and I used to manage a really good friend of mine's rental properties, Dawn Harmon.
Yeah.
And now she has this massive property management business. But I remember, and I was young and poor and raising a young family, and so that extra $600 a month was big income for us.
Yeah.
And I remember going into one of those properties after the tenant left, and some of the things that we cleaned out of there, I was like, I never
There's always
left.
a thong. There's always a thong.
There's always all kinds of extracurricular things and critters, and it's so inappropriate. So inappropriate. Or, they applied and they had, this one, wow, he had 4 adult poodles on the application. And
oh my God.
He paid, I think at that point in time, it was back in 2009. So this was big money back then. He gave $3,000 deposit. Gave it. He paid his rent.
It's because he had 10 poodles.
No, even worse.
Oh God.
He paid his rent 5 days on. I never had to go check on that property. So we rock along about 8 months, and an old friend from high school who worked for CPS says, "You still manage that property?" "Yeah, I do." "Have you been over there in a while?" "No." "Well, I can't tell you anything, but, sometimes stopping by properties might do you some good." "No." "Okay, well, whatever that means." Knock on the door, just say, "Hi, how are things going?" And those poodles were like, if they were poodles, they were killer poodles, because they were, and I'm like, oh my goodness. Well, there were drugs in a snake tank inside the home, and somehow the local pet store got it, and then they went off to Phoenix. Kids got stuck in Texas CPS, and Dawn had to have the home completely and professionally cleaned and taken care of. But, man, there's some crazy things that happen in rents.
Yes.
And tenants.
When you have to call the cops because they threaten to shoot you when they're standing outside on their own on the porch.
That happened to you.
Yeah.
That happened to
he
you.
was like,
yeah.
and I'm like, oh my God.
And didn't you have another one that had 1 million cats or something?
Yeah. We've had a lot of cats.
There was one in particular that you couldn't get rid of the cats.
Well, it was, our flip house. Remember the one, 3611 Shandon? There was a situation, there was probably 50 kitty cats that have just lived in this abandoned house. And when I say kitty cats, I really just mean cats. Okay, I'm just saying kitty cats, but I really mean cats. And so we had to work in conjunction with the city of Midland to be able to make that not the kitty litter box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the things.
All the things, yeah.
Real estate every day is
We
a
could
new
talk
day.
all day. We could talk all day, yeah. There's really no end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So friends and business and friends, we make it work.
We make it work.
We have fun.
Yeah. We're
and we
blessed.
don't tell each other every single thing like everyone thinks.
We're blessed to do what we do. We're blessed to be in our industry.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm grateful.
I love you, friend.
I love you too.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks.